Hello and welcome to the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. In this episode, we're going to be talking about one of the most successful football clubs of all time. We're going to be talking about Real Madrid. But before we get into this episode, I've had a couple of different messages from a couple of different people. The first one is from Elsie, and Elsie said, I love all the info in your show, but I'd just like to ask if you could do a little bit more on women's football players. My favourite episodes are the Lionesses and the Merseyside Derby. Thanks for the show, Elsie. Well, thank you very much, Elsie, for your message, and thank you for listening to the Football for Kids podcast. I absolutely will get some more episodes done on women footballers and women's football in general. I think the next one I'll do will be on Jill Scott. I met Jill a few months ago when I was working on the radio, and I've got to tell you, she was absolutely lovely. So look out for an episode on Jill Scott in the coming weeks. I've also had a message from Nick who says, Hey Darren, my 5-year-old son Rafferty and I love listening to your podcast when we're travelling to football training. Rafferty loved the episode when he heard about Pickles the dog finding the World Cup trophy in 1966. So hello to Rafferty from Sandhurst. I hope that you're enjoying the podcast and that you're enjoying your football. If you want to send a message with a request for an episode or a shout out to your teammates in a football club or whatever it is, you can ask an adult to send an email to footballforkidspodcast@gmail.com. So then, Real Madrid. By the end of this episode, you should know a little bit more about the history of the club, some of the amazing players, and some of the special moments the club has seen, and much more. Real Madrid started in 1902 with the name which was just Madrid Football Club. And in 1920, it changed to Real Madrid. The word Real in the name Real Madrid means royal in Spanish, and in 1920, the King of Spain, King Alfonso, honoured the football club, and from then on, the club was to be known as Real Madrid. In fact, do you know what the Real Madrid logo looks like? And do you know what it has on top of it? If you said a crown, you would have been correct. The Real Madrid logo only had a crown put on it after the king honoured the club and made it to be royal. Almost every football club is owned by somebody or a business, and they look after everything to do with that club. They look after how the money's spent, which players are brought, getting the grass cut, and everything else you could possibly imagine. However, Real Madrid is a rare one because it's actually owned by the fans, and it's never been any different since the club started over 121 years ago. Did you know that Real Madrid has got a few different nicknames? They're called the Los Blancos, which means the whites due to their crisp white kits. They're also called Los Vikingos, which means the Vikings. And also the La Casa Blanca, which means the White House. Real Madrid were one of the original teams that started in the Spanish top league when it was started in 1929. In fact, did you know that Real Madrid is only one of 3 teams who have never ever been relegated from the La Liga in the history of Spanish football? The other 2 teams who have achieved that are, of course, Barcelona and a team called Athletic Bilbao. Real Madrid have always worn a crisp white kit for their home kit every year since they formed 121 years ago. Except for one year, when a man from Real Madrid called Juan Hadros took a trip to England and met a team called Corinthian FC. And it inspired him to change the kit slightly. And on the next season, Real Madrid wore black shorts and a white top. It only lasted for one season though, as Real Madrid was smashed to pieces by Barcelona 5-1, and the people of Real Madrid deemed the black shorts to be bad luck. So, from then on, it's been white shorts and a white top for their home kit. Real Madrid currently play at a stadium called the Bernabeu, which is named after a famous Real Madrid player and a former president of the club. He was a man called Santiago Bernabeu, a man who is known for being one of the most influential and brilliant people to ever step into the club. The stadium is nearly full every match, with nearly 81,000 fans packed in to watch the Los Blancos in action. Real Madrid Stadium is one of the most famous stadiums in the world, and it has played such a big part in so many different football occasions. The Bernabeu was the first stadium in history to host both the Euro final and the World Cup final, making it an extremely special place. Real Madrid have had some of the greatest players to ever play football play for them. Here's a few of their standout ones, and some I think you've probably heard of. Cristiano Ronaldo. He is a top goal scorer in the history of the club with 450 goals for Real Madrid. He also holds the record for the most goals scored in the Champions League for Real Madrid, the most goals scored in one league match for the club, and lots of other records. If you haven't listened to the episode on Cristiano Ronaldo, it's available for you to listen to now. Another superstar of Real Madrid's was a man called Zinedine Zidane, who was one of the greatest players on the planet when he was playing at Madrid, and was awarded the World Player of the Year by FIFA when he was playing for them. We will do an episode on Zinedine Zidane in the not so distant future, so you can learn all about him. Gareth Bale, David Beckham, Raul, Sergio Ramos, Luis Figo, Luka Modric, Karim Benzema, Roberto Carlos, Di Maria, Pepe, David Beckham, Alfredo Di Stefano, and many others. Real Madrid really have had some of the most extraordinary footballers wear their crisp white kit and play a big part in their many successes. Over the years, Real Madrid have won a lot of competitions and a lot of trophies. I won't go through all of them because otherwise this episode will finish sometime next year. They have won the La Liga 35 times. This also includes winning it 5 years in a row on 2 separate occasions. They've won the Champions League 14 times, which is double the amount more than the second on the table for the most wins, which is AC Milan. And they've also won the Champions League 9 times more than their biggest rivals, Barcelona. Real Madrid have won every major trophy on numerous occasions and are a very special side who have become one of the most supported teams on the planet. There are supporters of Madrid in every country on the planet, and the club continues to develop and progress to being potentially the greatest football club in the history of sport. I hope that you've enjoyed listening and learning about Real Madrid and some of their brilliant achievements. If you'd like to learn some more about the club and their players, you can listen to an episode which I've done a little while ago called the El Clásico. That's about Real Madrid versus Barcelona, and also the episode on Cristiano Ronaldo. And remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. Whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly, or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time.